My family background inspired me, connected with the books. I don't know if I did not read the books I read, if I would not have become something else. I don't know. But I can tell you that the books I read inspired me to become or to lead me to a better path. Because I know at some point I used to hawk pure water in my head at my 3 Bishop Okoye, my 3 market.
for real?
Yes, of course. My mom sold loy, what we call fufu. Yeah. So that's a lot of part of the story people don't know.
All of those things.
So you see now, these practical things around me also was exposing me to entrepreneurship, was exposing me to business. So my mom would go to the villages, the hinterlands in River State and buy cassava, bring it, process it into fufu, and then we would process it, tie it, hawk it in our head. Myself, my siblings will go sell, we'll come back. So we learned marketing right from a very tender age. I remember when I asked to sell pure water, I knew when I could sell more, because in the early morning markets at Bishop Okoye, when a lot of women will come between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., the place is blocked. You know, I know I can sell more around that. So it made me understand precision. So these were things that, and I was still very young.
All right, it's so good to have you here in the studio, Mr. Kingsley Ime. Welcome to the Unmask podcast. And of course, I remain your host, the Bishop of Exako, Akuna Tamarakuro. Before we go any further, I know our viewers would love to know a little bit about Mr. Kingsley Ime. Do you mind just sharing with us your portfolio, who you are,
What part of the knowing do you want to know? Because
from your professional standpoint, because today the goal is for persons to be able to tap from your wealth of knowledge.
Okay. So my name is Kingsley May. Some people call me Global PK, and I am a consultant. I run Kingspire Resources. I am the lead consultant. I'm an author, a best-selling author. Published 2 hard copies and I think about 3 ebooks. Total of about 5. Sold thousands of copies. I'm a TEDx speaker. And I've been a guest on several podcasts, traditional media stations, so radio and TV, spoken to
lots and lots of
hundreds of thousands of people, young entrepreneurs across Africa, different states. Had the privilege of becoming a delegate of Model United Nations Simulation Conference many years ago. I've become a delegate of Model ECOWAS Summit. And I'm a husband, I'm a father. So there's so much. So that's why I always ask, which part of the story do you want?
I like this. Just to go a bit deeper into your personality. 3 words that describe your personality. If somebody says, describe Global PK in 3 words, what would you say?
Very inspiring, doggedly resilient. Doggedly resilient, that's like 3 words.
Okay,
but we can say resilient. I'm very resilient, and I think I'm humble.
I like the fact that you say, I think I'm humble.
I think I'm humble because I want to be humble, right?
Exactly.
So if I say I'm humble, it look like I'm having pride.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Today, I don't want us to talk about business in a certain light. So what I've come to realize is that sometimes when people have conversations around business, it's easy for us that somehow we know this business thing, we can easily talk about, do this, do that. I want us to be very natural.
Okay.
I want us to be very practical. The way I want us to talk about this thing, I want somebody that has never done business before in his or her life, comes across our video and goes like, oh, that means I can do this business thing now. Yes, I don't want us to even share philosophies. Sometimes you go on social media and there are so many quotes and you just write what you go be like, say, so I want us to be very bare. So I'm going to start off by asking you, in entrepreneurship and in the journeys you've had, speaking to hundreds of thousands of people. What are the core areas you niche down on? I know in business we have sales, marketing, advertising. So what areas do you really say, call me in this area and I will deliver?
Okay, so about me.
Yeah.
Of course, it's about sales and marketing and business development. Developing idea into turning ideas. So ideation from ideas into products, into business, so business development and workplace productivity, talking about team building. There are a lot, but I love talking about this one. I love this.
That's incredible. So moving on from that, how did you stumble or become this version. Because I want to imagine in today's world, I don't think there are so many people in business that read business administration. It is until maybe at some point, maybe you're doing entrepreneurship and then at some point you're like, let me get an MBA. Okay. You know, that's when people now go ahead to say, I like this business now, let me just do an MBA too.
Funny, I study business admin now.
So you are one out of the many people, because honestly, I've realized that a lot of people that do business in school, it's not like they really do business in reality. Most of them go on to do a lot more things. In fact, we have more people who did sciences become entrepreneurs.
A particular course is political science. I have a lot of friends and a lot of relatives, a lot of acquaintances who study political science and are very amazing entrepreneurs, highly successful business owners. And I don't know what it is about political science that makes that
So
happen.
How did you get there? How did you transition from, okay, you read business? In fact, why did you read business admin?
Oh, okay. So my dream when I was very young, I wanted to work for myself. And so I went to a science college, St. Mary's Senior Science College, Smart Grade in Ebaka. And in that school, we are all science students. We are all science students. So I still nurse this part of wanting to be my own boss at a very young age.
What inspired that thought?
I think maybe it's because of my background. My grandma is a business. My grandma was a trader. My mom is a trader, you know, and at some point she veered into working as, you know, working in an office, but she's core into trading. My dad, I grew up seeing my dad do petty trading. So I don't know, maybe because I was exposed.
So there were influences, there were things that
subliminally, because if you ask me as that, then I really didn't have it in my head. But I just love the fact that I want to have time for myself, do what I want to do. So I had, at that early age of my secondary school, I wanted to study engineering. Okay, so from engineering, I said, okay, what part of engineering will give me time and make me run my own thing? I said, okay, civil engineering. You know, after I said, no, civil engineering. And I said, okay, what part of civil engineering? And if I want to do civil engineering, if I want to start my own civil engineering company, it's going to cost me a lot of money. So I'm like, okay, which other part is softer in that part?
so you're basically looking for a soft landing.
And this wasn't a sit at once conversation. It was a progress. Every 6 months, every 1 year, like, I'm still, remember I was in secondary school and I was racking my head around this, my senior secondary. So I ended up there and say, okay, I can do building and construction. That still falls under civil engineering. So I like that part, you know, and life happened. I left secondary school. I really couldn't continue my tertiary education immediately. I came back, I was in a boarding school, came back to Port Harcourt. I stayed at home for like 8 years that I couldn't go to school. So basically what I was doing was now reading books. So I would borrow books to read. I would attend seminars from wherever I could find billboards. And my classmates had already gone ahead to become, some of them were getting ready to go for service. I still had not gone to school at all. You know, but reading those books began to expose me. So I read books on success, books on entrepreneurship, leadership, finance. So you're talking about Robert Kiyosaki to John Maxwell to Jack Canfield to Les Brown.
God. You read these books like within the secondary school?
No, within the 8 years. So after I left secondary school,
transitioning.
Yeah, so those readings began to also infuse in my mind, shape my thinking. Knowing that I lost my dad very early, I was always, wanting people to pity me, pity my parents, my mom and all that. But when I started reading those books, it helped me realize that there were people who were worse situation than I am, and they came out to become really successful. So that inspired me. And I saw practical principles that can apply generally in life, not minding whether you are from Nigeria, from America, from any part of the world, that can really give you something similar to the same result. So these were the things that influenced me.
Let me cut you there for a bit. Sorry.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of business people, businessmen, entrepreneurs. In fact, a lot of people in Nigeria become entrepreneurs because sometimes there are no jobs.
Yeah.
Right. So they are forced to sell something. In fact, a regular student in school is forced to start a trade, sell perfume, sell hair, sell bag. You must just sell something, to survive. And some way, somehow, the instincts start tapping in. And when they get out of school, they're like, okay, let me just do this thing. When you were sharing your story just about now, you said you began to read books. And then the books opened up your mind to a certain reality that, I can become this and that regardless of where you were coming from.
Exactly.
So I want to ask this question. Do you think the condition of your family or where you're coming from had an impact on the dreams you had?
It had a serious impact in my life connected to the books I read. So I read a phrase in one of the lines of Robert Kiyosaki's book. He said, in one of his, I think it was Rich Dad Poor Dad, he said, the poor dad, he was analyzing the poor dad versus the rich dad. He said, the poor dad said, the reason I'm poor is because I have you kids. Now he was referring that the poor dad has kids, so he's complaining that the reason I'm poor is because I have you children. If I didn't have you, then the rich father, the rich dad will say, the reason I must be rich is because I have you kids. So these are the same scenario, but different mindset. So that it hit me really hard in my very early age. So my background now became my inspiration, and coupled with the exposure I had reading books, not really going to school yet, and then beginning to attend events, seminars, looking for free seminars to attend. Then in Port Harcourt, there were barely any free event. In fact, it was only churches and political. So if it's not crusade, it's political rally. It was barely a few. And I always refer, the few people that used to organize events when I was growing up in Port Harcourt was the like of Matthew Oshimolowe whenever he comes for KICC events. And then RCCG back then are the very few churches that started doing seminars, because I've really been around for quite a while. So my family background inspired me, connected with the books. I don't know if I did not read the books I read, if I would not have become something else. I don't know. But I can tell you that the books I read inspired me to become or to lead me to a better path. So that line made me, I look at my family, okay, my dad is late. Okay, my mom is a trader. Okay, I am also trading as well, because I know at some point I used to hawk pure water in my head at my 3 Bishop Okoye, my 3 market. Yes, of course. My mom sold loy, what we call fufu. Yeah. So that's a part of the story people don't know.
All of those things.
So you see now, these practical things around me also was exposing me to entrepreneurship, was exposing me to business. So my mom would go to the villages, the hinterlands in River State, and buy cassava, bring it, process it into fufu, and then we would process it, tie it, hawk it in our head. Myself, my siblings will go sell, we'll come back. So we learned marketing right from a very tender age. I remember when I asked to sell pure water, I knew when I could sell more, because in the early morning markets at Bishop Okoye, when a lot of women will come between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., the place is blocked. I know I can sell more around that. So it made me understand precision. So these were things that, and I was still very young. Remember, I
want to dig deep into your entrepreneurial journey.
Oh, okay.
On 2 grounds. First off, the process where you had to sell pure water, your mom was selling. What were the entrepreneurial skills?
Okay, so
you learned in that season?
I learned rejection without knowing, because you would carry our goods to go sell, and some people will say, no, I'm not buying. So I learned that rejection. It was always a tough one for me, but I had to keep learning from there. I learned how to be able to convince people to buy, because it was reality that if we don't sell, there's not going to be any food in the house. If we don't sell, probably there won't be enough funds to pay for our rent, over the roof over our head. So that exposure made me, I didn't even, in fact, as I'm talking to you now, I'm beginning to, this were also part of what really happened. So, but marketing today was because I was exposed very
exposure,
early,
boldness.
That boldness, that courage, to want to say, that ability to be able to count the money and ensure that you don't hawk and sell at the end of the day. I remember a couple of times where I lost my money after I had hawked and sold, and then I couldn't find the money. I don't know how that happened. It taught me that, okay, you have to be intentional when you are also holding your business capital, because if you lose it, it's going to. So these were informal things
these are informal lessons
that pushed me. Then at some point when I grew up a bit, I remember being a borehole seller. And that
Football.
No. Okay, you don't know what ball is. So in where I grew up, there are compounds that don't have water. They don't have water.
Borehole.
So yes, people who have water, they drill water.
Okay.
They will put out a pipe, and people don't have water, will come
Come
and
and
buy with their jerry
Oh,
cans.
I understand that. We had it. I
I
managed one.
I was an attendant. I was a borehole seller.
My father had one. We used to,
you know, so
yeah.
So that taught me off peak and peak period. So off peak period, of course, is between 5:30 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. when people want to come fetch water so that they will go prepare and go to work. Then off peak is between that 10 o'clock till like 3 o'clock when it's just those who are
And
around
then in the evening hours.
Then evening from 4 p.m. 5 o'clock. The peak of it is 7 p.m.
Yeah.
There are crowds. People want to. It's not now that a lot of compounds now have water up there.
I want you to answer a question.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize that this Kingsley Ime was going to be successful at what he's doing? Was there any time you felt like this thing what they do, you get ahead, or let me just keep going at some maybe anywhere you go? You know, what was that? Sure. Did you have an assurance that one day Kingsley Ime was going to write books?
Yes.
And go, like, how did you know?
Okay, so I didn't know I was going to write books, but I knew I was going to really, really be successful because that exposure to building a reading culture made me know a lot. It came with its own side effect. The side effect was when you know too much and you don't have results, you can fall into depression. And I fell into depression for a long time.
Tell me, sir.
Yes, I knew a whole lot. I could because I was reading. Now I was not reading. I was not reading to execute immediately. I was just reading
to
know, and I knew so much. And I could come across people who know so little, and their results were astounding. They were in my face.
Yeah.
You know, so it was some sort of depressing somehow. As I speak now, I can still remember vividly. I was walking through one of our streets back then, and I heard in my spirit, if I don't become successful, I would have disappointed God. I don't know how that phrase came, but because I felt I know so much that I should not fail. I should be successful. So I came to a conclusion that if I ever fail, I would have disappointed God because of the exposure. Difficult challenges, right? Yeah, but it exposed me to something that really helped me have so much to know and to do. So at that point, I knew that I would either be successful or become successful. There was no option of
becoming. There was no option C.
Because I look back,
A and B was successful or successful.
I had to be successful for my mom, my biggest inspiration. I had to be successful for the children that I was going to bring into this world, because then I hadn't got kids. I had to be successful because the things I went through, having to sponsor yourself through school is not funny. Having to go to school in my dialect, I'm from Akwa Ibom, we say, let me interpret it, means going to school in the night. So if you go to school at an old age, we describe it as going to school in the night when you're supposed to go during the day. So me going to school at a more advanced age had a side effect. That was the time for me to be building. So why I couldn't go to school when I'm supposed to go to school, I'm now going to school because I now, after a long time, I had to now generate funds to sponsor myself in school. I mean, there's always a time for everything. So I didn't want such things to repeat itself in my own life, in the life of my children and my siblings. So those were my inspiration. Those were my push. And then I had a phrase that, Kingsley, nobody is coming to help you. If you must succeed, then you have to get up and work. So that brought the tenacity, the determination.
So let's talk about your failures.
Oh, okay.
Because I believe there are more lessons to learn from failures. So the Kingsley we are seeing today now shining. I'm driving around Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
I'm seeing, Mr. Kingsley on billboards.
Yeah.
I'm seeing, way before I met you in person, of course, I've been seeing.
Tell me about it. Let me interview you.
Of course, me, so I did this business space.
I get eager to want to hear what people knew about me before they met me. Okay.
Before I came in contact with my mentor, Mr. Intero Colinius, I've been also in the business space doing my little quota just here and there. So I kind of understand. I knew those in the game in Port Harcourt. I knew Kingsley Ime was there.
Okay.
A couple of other names I wouldn't want to just call. I used to see people like Kyo Baba. Emeka Nobis. I used to see Emeka Nobis. I used to see Kingsley Ime. And then I stumbled on Africa Landlord one of the days on Instagram. I've always loved the business thing. So when I now saw you in person one of the days, I was like, is this not Kingsley Ime? And of course you were so chill. Sometimes when we see people like out there, we forget that you are also human. We're like, when you see the person, it's like when you touch the person, a silver will come out. So that's why I was like, this is Kingsley Ime now. I was like, So that was it was just beautiful because I had seen your works prior. There was a lady I worked for at some point.
Okay.
I used to manage her social media, and she used to post your picture, video, something. I think she's one of your mentees or stuff.
Okay.
Mrs. Queen. I'm calling. Yeah, she. I worked for her at some point. So that was even before I met you in person. Yes, and then one of my church member, he told me he knows you.
Her.
Yes, one Mr. Sam. Mr. Sam. Yeah, he told me, I say he knows me, Kingsley. I see we are from the same. So it was just exciting, getting to meet you.
Yeah.
But my question now is
the failures.
Before
all this
glam and glitz, and people are like, Kingsley, they are calling you for speaking events. They are calling you global PK. What were the failures and setbacks you experienced starting off your journey? Maybe in sales, maybe in business development. Like, tell us. I want to know about those failures.
So my failures was that for 5 years I was not earning a dime, but I was becoming a little bit popular. I was going out to speak because I read in one of those many books I read, it said, follow your passion. And if you follow your passion, if you do it long enough, the money will follow. And it's a sweet phrase, but
I think it's true.
In context, I think I always rephrase it and said, follow your passion and find the money in between.
Thank you.
Find the money in between.
Sometimes you can follow your passion and the money will come.
Because there are certain passions that will never give you money till after 5 years. And public speaking and speaking was part of that career journey. The reason why I stayed long and I lasted is because I did an extensive research about what I was going into. Reading those books helped me to ask, what is my talent? What am I passionate about? What can I do easily? And then when I read, I discovered I could speak, I could teach easily, and I could communicate. So I like,
5 years.
Yeah, it took me more than 5 years. I didn't earn a dime. I was just jumping from place to place.
Stage to another, enter bike. You see yourself a flyer, but you're going to the event with bike.
So that was a failure point where I literally had to borrow transport fare from my siblings, my younger brothers. I'll tell them, hey, do you have 1,000 naira? They give me and I'm going to give you back. I've lost count of how many times I borrowed them money without paying them back. I stayed in my mom's house for a long time. What you would assume that at a certain age, a young man should be independent. I was still in my mom's house. In fact, when I traveled out of the country for the first time, I was still in my mom's house.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
When I hosted my first conference, I was still in my mom's house because I wasn't able to generate enough money yet from what I was doing to be able to get my own apartment and move. So I considered that not a failure, but a lesson at trying times. I would rather switch the questions. What could I do differently? Because I find it difficult to pick failures in my journey. I pick them, I see them as lessons. So what could I have done differently if I had to start all over again? I would identify people that are successful practicing what I am doing. I would go work for them. Working for them will give me salary to survive first before I can pursue passion. And then two, it will also give me the opportunity to have a first-hand exposure into the market, into the industry that I am trying to go into. So let's take example. If I had a passion for consulting, I would have looked for top consulting firms, even if I had to go in there because, remember, I didn't go to school. Yeah, remember, I didn't go to school on time. So maybe I wouldn't have gotten the qualifications to be fully employed. Even if I had to go in there as a cleaner, even I had to go in there as an office assistant back then, not when emails and social media and Slack channels and the rest are taking away such roles. But if I had entered that space earlier on time, it would have exposed me. If I had the opportunity, that is what I would do today. And it would help me better. Another thing that it would do what I would do differently today is that while building my passion, I would get a paid job. I would get a paid job. I stayed for a long time. I did not get a paid job. Because if I had a paid job, somebody would say, but salary is the bribe.
What is your honest opinion about actually doing a 9 to 5? Let's say you want to do it for life. Is there anything wrong with?
No, there's.
What's your honest opinion? What do you think should be the balance? Society is making it look like it's a death trap.
Okay, so let me balance what I said earlier about if I had the opportunity, I would get a paid job, a more quality paid job. Well, I can't blame myself because I didn't have the qualifications to get a quality paid job. But getting a paid job It's not that you cannot build a passion without a paid job. You can. But look at the background that you're coming from, right? Sometimes a paid job can accelerate the revenue, the income, the salary can elevate and accelerate some of the projects that you want to execute in the part of your dream and in the part of your passion. So about a paid job, I for one, I'm a consultant today. And I always say that in 60% of the total number of people I have worked with for their business, people who have worked in a corporate environment, in an organized space as a staff, tend to have a higher chances of success more than people who have never worked in an organized or a corporate environment. Now, I'm not saying that you must work in a corporate environment before you become successful in anything you do or a business. But if you work, say you work in a banking sector or in a bank before you start your own business, there is an instilled discipline, there's a process, you have an exposure, there's a structure. But you see people who just start their own business, just it's not my business. Anytime I like, I can go to work now. Anytime I like, I can open my shop. Anytime I like, I can. If you don't want to buy, get out. But if you had worked in a corporate environment, you realize that you don't go to work anytime you like. Even when you are sick and you call in sick, you must still show up at work. So if you carry such discipline into your personal business, your personal career, your personal endeavor, you see that it would make you better. So I feel like having a paid job will bring me back to another line I learned from Robert Kiyosaki's book. He said, don't work for money, work for experience.
That's
now, I know you guys are going to drag, say, how can I work?
I shared this same thing with a couple of persons.
Yes.
And honestly, just to share my maybe 2 or more cents, that transformed my mind. I had the privilege to work for a couple of, firms, 9 to 5 and all of that. And then at some point in my life, I said, I wanted to build my own stuff. Okay. And with the mindset of, I just want to be independent. But in reality, of course, with better knowledge, I'm realizing that if you want to grow, there's really no independence.
There's none.
You must be under structure.
Everybody is the slave to something. Find your slavery.
You must report to a system. Once you lose accountability, you cannot grow.
True.
Eventually, in my years of trying to build my stuff and build, of course, I came in contact with African landlord, my boss. And I learned something that it has never been about the money anymore. In fact, when I read that book also,
Rich Dad Poor Dad,
and I was like, okay, you're learning for free.
And you're being paid while you're learning.
You have access to people. You're basically growing. I mean, what else are you looking for? And so it just rewired my mindset to discover that a lot of people that make statements like, I can't do anything, they are more money conscious, and people are like that. They end up becoming poorer. Exactly. Because they tie their whole life value to money. Exactly. They don't do anything beyond. They have no sense of purpose. I just had to really put that in there. So
let me tell you why I believe that working before starting can also be a great learning curve for you. So a few days ago, we had an assembly where, African landlord was talking about systems and cause and symptoms. And I reflect my mind back to, there was a time I worked in what we call one-man business. I was employed as operations. I didn't even know it was called operations. Only me it was a food processing company. By the way, I have worked in the banking sector. I have worked in the education sector. I've worked in tourism and hospitality, and I've worked in food processing. So let me take food processing as an example. So when I worked in that food processing company, we're into producing Italian-based ice cream. In fact, we're the only company in the whole of Nigeria that had the license to have that flavor of Italian ice cream. If you have to buy the raw materials, they will direct you to us. So I was employed in the factory. The employment brought me into the space. I was the one doing operations. I was the one also the production manager. So I learned how to produce. I was also the marketer. I had to go and supervise the different outlets we had in malls within Port Harcourt back then and supervise. I was also the accountant. I had to make sure that the accounting, the number of goods that we sent to the store, what they sold represented what was sent. I was all round the clock, and I did this, I think, for 2-3 years. Now look at me now, becoming the COO of a group of company that has other companies beneath it, and then I am working efficiently in my role,
because
right?
Of
because of the experience
you had
I
gathered.
had then, you know. And then I also run consulting. When I was in the banking sector, I read a book that transformed my life, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life by Brian Tracy. And it made me looked beyond working for salary, working to create value. I always ask myself when I go to work, if I own this business, what would I do today to make this business better? Now, don't forget, I worked I was working in a banking firm. So I had the mindset and I was the least qualified. I went there as an assistant to customer service. If I didn't have a desk, I was sitting next to the customer service supervisor or something. But I went to work every day. What can I do? When a customer walks in, I said, how can I serve this customer in such a way that if there is another firm, a competing brand shows up in the same street where our business is located, we would far be better. Guess what started happening? Because I subconsciously submerged or immersed myself into the work. I started hearing side talks like, now your papa work. Why are you carrying the work in your head? Is it your father's business? And if you're listening to me right now and you hear such phrases being thrown all over the place, I say kudos to you. Keep doing it. Because some people who are not ready to really do the work, they will start becoming jealous of your ability to do the work. And that was what was happening to me. He say, Kingsley, you always carry the business for head, like I'm papa.
Like boss will say, you are, because you are a reflection of the person they hoped to become.
And that they cannot be.
They cannot become. So they will envy you.
You know.
Just to cut you a bit,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Still from your life lessons, what would you say is was your biggest challenge?
Okay.
To arriving at, where you are, what would you look back and say, that thing? When challenges come, they always come like, this thing is the end of the life, like my life don't spoil now. I don't know, So did you have any points where you felt like, if I don't go past this, I'm not going anywhere? What was that challenge that was so significant for you? And once you were able to go past that stage, you knew I can't do any other.
So I had recurring challenges, and one of them was finance. Finance was one of them. When I was on this path, right, and then I couldn't generate income. I remember every time I want to dust my CV to go get a job. Okay, let me backtrace. So one of my biggest challenge was that I did not have platforms. I wanted to be a speaker, I wanted to be a trainer. I didn't have any platform. And I remember a quote that from one of the books I read from Les Brown, and one of his talk. He said, the people that make it in this world, they look around for the circumstances they want. If they cannot find it, they create it. You can go Google it. This is a quote that has shaped my life intensely. So I wanted to become a speaker. I didn't have a platform. So what do I need to do? I need to create my own
platform.
So I started the Achievers Conference. And when I started the Achievers Conference, I went to get a venue for the Achievers Conference. No, first I went to get a venue, and the cost of everything was about 35,000 naira, and it was more like 3.5 million naira as at then for me. So I had to find a way to raise the money. So I went to meet my very wonderful friend who has been supportive all the way. You cannot count my story without mentioning K.O. Baba. I think you should Google him.
Yeah.
K.O. Baba. I went to meet K.O. Baba and I said, K.O., I have this event that I want to do, and it's costing me 35,000 naira. I came to ask for support. K.O. looked at my flyer. I said, this is nice flyer. And that was when he did his first event, very major event as a comedian. Let me do the talking or something like that. Where he said, how much? He said 35. He looked at me. He said, I just did an event that I borrowed the bank 3 million naira. If you cannot raise 35,000 naira, you will not be able to do big events in the future. Say, go and look for the money, whatever is the balance. Come back and I will add it. And I went, I never came back.
At that point?
Oh,
Did you feel like giving up?
First, I felt disappointed, but I felt like, okay, at least let me go and try, because there's hope that these guys will give me something.
Yeah.
So I went and I never came back. I went and I thought, and I had an idea. Oh my goodness, I could feature some businesses on the flyer of our event, because then we used to print hard copy flyer and banner. It's not now that we have socials and channels. Yeah. So I went and I said, you know what? I went to talk to small business. I said, I'll put your logo in the edge of the flyer. You will become popular. All you need is 5,000. And I got about 6 businesses that gave me 5,000 naira. And that was how I raised.
Incredible idea.
That's how I raised my first. So that was the first hurdle of being able to raise money. The next hurdle was, I went to churches. Okay, because I couldn't do that consistently, I said, maybe I should go to churches. They have church already. They have people already. I could host the event in their church, and I'll get the already made population and I'll run it. And then it will save me. I wouldn't have to use generator. I wouldn't have to hire generator, PA system and all that. So I went and knocked on doors of churches, and they slammed the door at me. because they suspected me. Where are you coming from? We don't know your doctrine. Don't come and stand on our pulpit and scatter these flocks that we have gathered together. And because I read several...
I'm sorry. This is the part when Nigerians say, poor man pikin.
You go suffer.
Honestly.
So like, I got that door slammed at me. I said, no, I'm not giving up. I came back and said, in my own church, if you're a stranger, you can't come in and get access. What's the best way you can get access if you want to come to my church? I said, another idea. Go through the arms. Either if you want to host something, go through the women, the men, or the youth. I said, okay, there are several churches that have youth and youth pastors and youth platform. I went back to the youth churches and I knocked and I said, I'm looking for the youth pastor or the youth president. When I meet them, I said, you know what? I have this idea. I have this event I want to put together for your members. It will help them. Verbatim what I used to say, it will help you. Your members are going to learn how to answer interview questions so they can get jobs. Your members are going to learn how to raise capital for their business. They are going to learn how to build their businesses and they expand their small business to big business. Now I have the people. If they have to come to your church, you would pay them thousands of naira. Sorry, I talk dollars these days. Thousands of naira, but I have them. I will bring them. What I want is just let's co-host this event together. We use your church in the name of the youth fellowship. And they are like, fantastic, let's do it. So the same pastors that slammed at me, the youth president is now saying, we are hosting a program, pastor, we want you to approve it. So I went through the youth wing and I always get a yes. So what happened was now I have started building credible relationship with some people ahead of me. So I'll tell them, come and support me. I'm hosting my conference. They will come and sometimes I'll just package small honorarium, which will not get to anywhere, but they will come. Now what happens is that the church is now hosting it. They have their youth, they have their church, they will be announcing in their church. I have already made some good audience. And then a few persons who knew me that I talk a lot, I started doing this stuff. They'll say, okay, let's just go and see what this guy is doing. Shall I attend? So you see, with that, I was able to put it together. And when I create the flyer, guess what I would do? I used to put in the flyer, I put my picture as the convener. So if you scroll down to my Facebook page, you see the convener of the Achievers Conference. But I will put the pastor as host or the youth president as host so that I'll share the team very well. And then I'll put my guest speakers. I'll put them guest speakers. So that was
quite a lesson I've got to tell our audience. There was a money problem. Mr. Kingsley moved away from the money problem and looked for an idea to solve the money problem and took steps to solve the money problem. And just got disappointments in the course of trying to solve the money problem, but did not stop. Went ahead to knock on doors. And when they failed, he knocked on more doors. And then eventually...
With a new approach.
That means if plan A didn't work, you change strategy. And eventually you were able to build something. There's this stuff that goes on online. I'm trying to really remember the name, but it's called something syndrome. I can't really recall imposter syndrome. Thank you. I just got it. So there's this stuff that happens where people feel like, am I good enough for this? Am I a fraud? Were there times where when you were going to these churches or organizations to teach, did you feel like you ever had that fear of this thing I want to go teach these people? I want to teach them how to pass jobs. I don't have all of these things. How did you go through that phase? Or how did you deal with something of that sort?
So one of the things I do till today is that I don't talk about what I haven't experienced and what I don't have some level of result around. So if you see a lot of my events, I don't talk about how to teach you how to become financially free because I am not financially free. You shall not hear me talk about it.
Just be honest.
Yes, I was always honest from get-go.
I love that.
I was always honest from get-go. I never even started marketing. I'm now known in marketing. I used to market on my own, but I became known and paid to train people on marketing just a few years ago. So I didn't even talk about marketing. What was I really talking there? It was success. I was known as success coach. I called myself a success coach because I was sharing my dreams and my story. I was just inspiring. I was hoping to inspire people with my story, but bring achievers to come share their story and principles that we can all learn together. So I would teach about goal setting because I learned about goal setting from my friend in 2011. I got exposed to goal setting for the first time, and I've been setting goals every year up until today as I speak.
What if we have persons that want to learn how to, do the goal setting thing? Maybe they saw this video and they're like, I don't know how to set goals. How can they reach you?
Of course, they just check me on socials and just send me a DM on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram.
We're just going to put
email. Just Kingsley email, and then you're going to reach out. Of course, I have a Telegram channel where I have a community of people I talk to every week. The imposter syndrome, when I started organizing those events, there was fear of what if you organize all this and the people know that you are not really successful. But because I had been exposed to a lot of knowledge, a lot of books, there was already things to share that were truly life transforming. I read 10 Laws of Leadership and I applied it in my life and it helped. I read Vision by Dr. Miles Monroe. I was able to create my dream and my vision for my life. I read Success Principle.
How many books do you read the month?
I think I got busy now. I don't read as I used to read, but I had a goal of reading at least 4,000 books before I turned 40. Unfortunately, I'm not sure I'm going to hit that target again. But I think I've done over 1,000 books.
Are you for real?
I think so. I've done close to, if not 1,000 books in reading. I beat myself for not being able to read as I used to read before. I did used to read 2 books a month, sometimes a book a month, sometimes 3 books a month. I read, and I'm not talking of the audio books. I'm talking of back cover to cover, because remember, that was the only knowledge space I had. So the imposter syndrome was not there. I was not scared. So when I get up on the stage, in fact, when I arranged this event, I made sure I speak first, and the guest I brought will say, okay, this guy can speak, sir. I can send him on my behalf. And I did it intentionally for both the audience and the people that I was inviting, that I am a valuable asset in their relationship, that they could send me to represent them. And it has worked. So I didn't have that imposter syndrome, but I knew that I still had this sadness. And it was tough. It was really tough for me. It was tough seeing the people that you follow being able to achieve things that you couldn't achieve because your passion is not able to generate money for you. It was tough waking up every day knowing so much but not having money in your account. It was tough. I was depressed. Many times I was depressed in that journey, because those who have experienced this know what I mean. Knowing so much and yet your results cannot meet up with what you know. And people who know little are making, which means I was suffering from procrastination. And I read a book. Yes, I read a book by Brian Tracy. If you shake me, you always hear one book I read that changed. So Eat That Frog Raw, 21 Ways to Overcome Procrastination.
Just to put this out there, there's something that people might not know. I want to tell them. So because you are saying it, I'm getting that it's a pattern. And it's something I learned like quite recently.
Yeah.
How that whenever you have a particular challenge in your life, find a book for that challenge.
Exactly.
So I know there was a time I was having an emotional challenge. I had to go and look for a book. That book was by I think this pastor, a lady, forgotten her name, but it was about emotions. I had to buy to solve that. Joyce Meyer.
Yeah, I read a couple of
books. Joyce Meyer.
I read a couple.
I read it and it was like good. So there was a time I was having serious issue with finances. I had to buy books. A couple of them, Richest Man in Babylon.
My favorite book.
Yeah, I love it. The Psychology of Money. A lot of them. In fact, I solved it. Then there were times in my life where I felt like I was having a problem with keeping my discipline.
Okay.
So I had to go to No Excuses by Brian Tracy.
Yeah, I read that too.
Yeah, and a couple of books. So I'm just putting it out there to everyone watching that if you're struggling with a particular thing in your life, be it your discipline, your finances, your emotions, whatever, pick a book. And even use ChatGPT. It has made it easy. You can just ask and say, "Oh, I'm trying to solve this problem. I need top books that I can really recommend for me," and go get them. I'm telling you can solve a lot of the problems you have by just getting a book. Sometimes the people you're going to talk to, they are going to share off their I don't know, their experiences, and sometimes they are not the best, I would say.
Right.
But when you read those books, they are result oriented. They have changed millions of lives. So I'm just putting it out there for everyone, so you can see that it was same pattern that Mr. Kingsley put in place. Every time there was a challenge, he read a book that brought him out of that. Point. That's your biggest leverage. If I'm telling you, your leverage is go for that knowledge, change your mindset, and change your life.
Be willing to pay for it if you have to. So that helped, and I think money challenge was also a very big one for me. I'm literally the first child of the family and the leader of siblings, my mom. So, and I needed to also show up in the home. I needed to also support the home, but I couldn't. And every time I got to stock, so gradually people started knowing me, people started inviting me, they will give me honorariums, so they will carry.
How did you start that? How your body did do you? True.
So getting paid to do what you love doing was the biggest excitement for me. I could talk for hours, I could speak, and I enjoy it. I find fulfillment when I teach people.
Who are your biggest icons when it comes to speaking?
Les Brown. Les Brown, apart from I said apart from the Bible, apart from Jesus, after Jesus Christ and the Bible, one of the highly most influential person of my life. I've never met him. I missed meeting him when he came to Abuja. I hope he sees this someday. Dr. Linus Okere, one of my mentors, hosted him, and I missed it. I promised myself either I'm going to go to the US to meet him one day. He influenced my life a lot. Les Brown has been one of my global influential person of all time. That's Les Brown. Then as I grew up in my journey, I do Vusi. I had to even listen to Vusi before coming on set. Vusi is also someone that that inspires me because of his Pan-Africanism and his high top knowledge and practicality in the business world. And then, of course, Dr. Olumide Emmanuel, if we go a bit spiritual, because I believe in Jesus Christ. I love the Holy Spirit, and I don't do without, and I'm never ashamed to talk about it. I'm not a pastor, but I believe I have an assignment in the marketplace.
I like that.
So I believe I have an assignment in the marketplace. So Dr. Olumide Emmanuel, if you talk about entrepreneurship, relationship, and money, he's the author of School of Money and Common Sense is Not Common. If you just go on YouTube and just type Dr. Olumide Emmanuel, so those are my icon role models that I look up to them a lot, and I push myself to get to that standard.
If you were not doing business, consulting, speaking, public speaking, and what do you think you would have done? What would have been your plan B?
I think one of the things that helped me is I didn't have any plan B.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was.
So it was I perish kind of thing.
It was everything, because I read these books shaped me. Forgive me, I've said I read because those were the only places.
Don't apologize to me.
Those were the only places I helped me. So one of the books I read, I can't remember, said, what gives you fulfillment? What gives you complete fulfillment? I said speaking, teaching, and training people gives me so much fulfillment. Every other thing is boring to me. I can be sick. Like, I remember now, I was literally sick. I was on drip, but I had a speaking engagement, and I promised the person I was going to come, and he wasn't able to meet up my fee. So I said, and I felt ill. I said, if I don't go, the person will feel like, because he couldn't pay, and I promised. But so I stood up from the drip, went, and I finished speaking on stage. I became well on the stage.
Please don't do that.
Don't do that. But I still came back and finished my medication. I came back to finish my medication. So I don't know what else would I be doing. I don't know.
So just to wrap up, I mean, your story has really inspired me, and I believe a lot of persons that will be seeing this video would be able to relate with it. But just for us to wrap up things, there are young entrepreneurs out there, people that have vision, dreams, and for them, they don't have leverage. What would you say was your biggest leverage as a young person that came from, a place where you didn't maybe have access to everything you wanted? What would you say was your leverage?
My leverage was, number one, the Holy Spirit, because I really had to keep praying, and I prayed a lot because that was the only thing I could do after after reading a lot of books. Number 2 was a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. After the Bible, that's my best book. The book gave me the people skill. So people skill, I'm able to know the kind of people I want and find a way to find where they are, connect with them, and build credible and valuable relationship with them. So today I have mentors. So mentorship now came to play. So I have George Asian, who's my public speaking mentor. He's mentored me for years. He runs a public speaking school called Podium Dynamics Academy. I have Pastor Kenny Ajibade, who taught me relationship the godly way, building opposite sex relationship, and I have Joyce Daniel, who was like the shoulder I could cry to when things were really tough. She taught me the scaffolding method. What is scaffolding? Every building has a scaffolding, which is a temporary structure that helps you build a permanent building. So find the scaffold. Your vision is the permanent building. Your dream is the permanent building. But you need a scaffold that can help you stay alive and fund yourself and fund even the permanent building. So she taught me scaffolding. So these were some of the mentors I had part time. So there's a lot about my journey back and forth. But today, it has changed. The story has changed. I run my own company. I partner with a lot of businesses. I travel within and outside the country to speak. I speak to several companies, trainings. I do that back and forth. And I just I checked my mail recently and I got an invite by Nigerian British University. I like to brag about it there.
How did the name Global PK come about?
Okay, so at every phase, I believe that, so I study, I observe a lot. So when we start the year, for those of us that are Christians, our pastors give prophetic theme for the year. Oh, this is your year of reliable this is your year of that, this is your year of that. So I said, okay, at this phase, I want to be successful. So I said, I'm a success coach. I called myself a success coach until it began to happen. And people started calling me, from becoming an inspirational speaker. Oh my God,
I just got a new name for myself now.
So when I believe what I carry can go global, I said, I am Phenomenal Kingsley, PK. That's where it started. Phenomenal Kingsley. Of course, I'm being inspired by Olakunle Shorinyo, which a lot of people know him as PK. Right. So I'm like, okay, if I call myself PK and they call him PK, while I go there. So I said, I know I tilt towards global. So I said, I'm global PK.
Thoughts are not
so I started calling myself global PK until the global opportunities started coming, and they are coming. And a couple of travels every year now, we do a couple of travels within and outside the country to do conferences, to train, to speak, to participate in high top-notch events. Wow. So global PK came because I prophesied that this is my new phase of getting to global space. And I am either phenomenal or I go home. So I am global phenomenal Kingsley. So that's where the global PK.
What's your biggest life lesson currently?
My biggest life lesson,
if you had to currently, let's put it in this context. If you had, let's say your child grows up, is 12, 13, 14, is beginning to see that life, is an intricate dance, like African to say between who you are, who you want to be.
Yes.
What would you say is the biggest life lesson you call your child and say, see, do this and you will never have to, suffer in life? What would that be?
My biggest life lesson would be for my child, and of course I have a new baby, so my son, I would I will help him find his purpose, find his passion, find his skill very early. Remember, I had to do this on my own. I had to discover myself. In this part of the world, we discover ourselves at close to 20, at 18 or 20. That time, you don't leave secondary school and jam away. But in advanced countries, the parents help you between 3 and 6. They've helped you uncover who you are and guide you. So my biggest lesson would have been to discover myself well on time, build my passion around it, and study around it. So if I had passion for business, I should not waste my time studying medical sciences. I should go to study business. If I have my passion in music and dancing, I should go study theater art, and then come out and then build a life from it. So I think that's one of my biggest lessons. And another thing is never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
Never stop learning. Become hungry for knowledge, continuous and never-ending improvement. So those are the principles that guide me.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kingsley. And of course, to everyone seeing this video, the first thing you can do to help a lot of people learn is to hit the subscribe button and like, because we believe that when you do this video automatically gets to the next person. We understand that people are going through a lot, and of course, if they don't see someone who has gone through that same path, they can be inspired. So share this video, subscribe, drop a comment, tell us what you think. We want to also know about your story. We want to host you also. We want to host you. So do well to share, subscribe, drop a comment, and of course turn on your post notifications so that when we drop the next video, you can get notified. Mr. Kingsley, any final words?
We believe that every human needs to be inspired with this video to learn more. He knows why I'm saying that. Okay, so my final words is never make a permanent decision with a temporary situation, and don't give up on yourself, because if you don't, the world would not have any option but to follow you because of your belief. So much is going on in the world today, but find your purpose, create value from it, build a system around it that will generate income. Don't let anybody deceive you. Money is important in this world that we're in. So create a system that will generate a lot of that money for you while you are doing what you love to do, and use that to impact the world. And if you're a Christian that, like I am, use it to advance the kingdom. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We've come to the end of today's episode on Unmask, and it's incredible having Mr. Kingsley Ime here. We look forward to another special guest. I wish I could tell you who's coming next, but of course, just expect something really exciting. Remember, expect something exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you, and see you in our next video.